I'd parked my car at about 3 o'clock. There's a parking lot that's pretty close to Cole, the building where this happened. And I was just finishing up a cigarette or whatnot, and it was like 3:05. I got out of my car because I had a class at 3:30 in DeKalb, which is the building pretty much behind it. It's 50 feet behind Cole, and I'm walking. At this point, I'm a good 20, 30 yards from Cole Hall, and I see like these sporadic groups of people, and they're all looking in one direction. Your natural impression was just like, what's everyone looking at? And I'm looking, and everyone's looking at the building. And I've had a class in that, actually the classroom where this all happened last semester, geography, and I actually have a class this semester that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. in this classroom. So, I didn't know at this time though. I'm just, looking around, like all these shocked faces, and I walk up to this girl, and I'm like, do you mind if I ask what happened? And she's just like, some guy just came into our classroom and started firing a shotgun, and I don't know. It was disbelief at first. Just the way my mind processed it was just like, you got to be kidding me. No one would bolt into a classroom and do this. This is heinous. And a couple other people were there telling me the same thing, and I'm looking, and there's no, I don't see any cop cars, I don't see anyone else noticing what's going on. I'm just like, this can't be. Finally, we see a cop car pull up, and just thanks for telling me. And at this point, I was just, I didn't freak out, which is usually my nature. I tend to, oh my God, and I didn't freak out at all. I wasn't calm, but I wasn't in shock mode, panic mode, and so I proceeded to go to my next class. Not to go to class, but more or less just to warn others. And I walk in and head up to the 4th floor of DeKalb, and all these students are coming out, 200-300 students just getting out of class. So obviously, they have no idea what's going on. And I literally just stop all of them. If any of you are heading to Cole Hall, don't head there. I just heard from someone that someone was firing a shotgun in there, and everyone just kind of paused, open faces, just shocked looks. Some of them were just yeah, right. They tell me flat out, whatever, man, I believe you. And it's go look for yourself. There's a lot of windows in DeKalb on the 4th floor, and sure enough, they all went over there, and there's fire trucks pulling up and ambulances, and I immediately turn around. I go into my philosophy class, and I walk up to the professor, and I just heard from someone that there was some shots fired in Cole Hall, and at first she gave me this look are you just telling me this to get out of class? It's common reaction. If something like that's serious, no one's gonna right away believe what you're saying. And so we went on the NIU website, and at that point, it was the first warning saying there's possible shots fired on campus. Stay away from the King Commons area and whatnot. Finally, she believed me. She had this. She looked like she was going to cry. I don't want to say her name or anything, but I don't know. It got very serious very quickly, and this whole time, just everything's got so surreal. So all this was happening, and a guy came by, dressed up he looked important, told us that if we were going to leave, we had to, avoid Cole at all costs, and at that point it was obvious that it was very serious. I stayed a little bit longer and talked with my professor regarding the readings and whatnot, trying to, so what do you want from us for the next week, considering class is canceled now. And I walked back out into the hall, and it was just imagine silence, but the deepest silence ever. It was there was no one there. I walked out, and it was just complete dead silence. And as I started walking down the stairwell, sounds get louder and louder. I get down to the 1st floor, and there's hundreds of people just standing in there, all looking outside. DeKalb is, you can see the parking lot and kind of near Cole from where you're standing on the first floor of this building, and everyone's just standing there calling people. I couldn't get any outgoing signal. I heard there was quite a problem with cell phone usage. I thought my phone was messed up. I kept trying to call my parents, and nothing was happening. At that point, there was paramedics picking a guy up who was in the hall I was in, and I saw my first bullet wound in my life. It wasn't very serious, but it was enough to be like, oh my God, this is really real. At that very moment, it clicked. And at that point, I don't know, a part of me was just like, I don't want to be here anymore. Another part of me was like, I should be around my fellow students and whatnot, but the other, the subconscious part of my brain was like, leave. I mean, you need to go, just try to forget about it, I guess. And so I started walking outside again, and it was like a war zone. I walk out there, and there's just, like I was saying earlier, fire trucks, ambulances, cop cars. There's like helicopters flying overhead. I think there was just one, but there could have been more. News crews flying up, and hundreds of people standing there just watching, like, in disbelief. And finally, I get a hold of my dad, and all I said was, turn on the news. And sure enough, by then it was already on. I said, what are you doing there? There was a shooting when I was walking to class. Was firing shots and whatnot. And, I had heard by that time that there was, someone was hit in the face and stuff, and like all these things. It was almost like right out of like I was standing in a movie. Just so surreal. Like I was saying, I don't know. I can't explain it. So I get in my car at that point, and they allowed us to leave. Apparently, at first there was some lockdown on campus. I didn't experience any of that. I just, was doing my own thing, and got in my car, and the cops were blocking off all the roads. I had to take this new route. I got lost trying to get back to my apartment, but the drive home was very quiet. I had the radio off and just, just shaking my head, just like, this is, it's still, even to this very moment, hasn't exactly set in at this point where it's like, even though today I went on campus with a friend of mine, and we went and looked at the memorial and the police tape all over this building that I have class in 3 times a week. And personally for me, just knowing that I have this class and like already having like a visual type of memory, as they're explaining on the news later on when I got home to my place, about how this all happened, how we walked in, stormed in the room, like, I knew exactly what it was set up like. I remember the smell of the building, like, the color of the seats, everything so vividly. And then just imagining putting myself in those people's shoes, like, there's this door right off the side where usually the professor walks in to start class and get the PowerPoints ready and whatnot, and just imagining that someone else stormed in, during this moment, and without even saying a word, just